Hi, this is Linda Ellers from Great Glass Galore. Today I'm going to teach you about the materials you use in your beginner fusing project. The important thing is all the glass supplies you use have to have the same coefficient of expansion, or abbreviated is COE. That's so the glass can expand and contract at the same rate on all the materials you're using. So as the glass heats, it expands, and as it cools, it contracts. So it all has to be the same. So the other important thing you'll be doing down, and we're back to the projects down here. So we're back to this beginner project. The big thing is when you full fuse glass, it's going to go to 1500 degrees in the kiln. And when it does, the viscosity is such a glass that it wants to be 1/4 of an inch thick. So glass, when you cut it, is 1/8 of an inch thick. So what I've got here are 2 layers. So on the back is a piece of clear, and then the second full layer is a piece of purple opal. Opal means it's not see-through. And then there's a piece of fracture streamer glass, so it's got purple and white fractures, black streamers on clear. So there's those 2 pieces, and then the third layer has my decorations. So on here, the third layer has these little balls, they're called pebbles. We have some black paint, we have some noodles that are thicker, some stringers, some decals, some frit. So a little bit of everything. So your project is going to look like this. I'm going to fire it in the kiln, and then it's going to full fuse at 1500 degrees, and then I'm going to put it on that ceramic, I'll put this on the ceramic mold. It'll take the shape of it at 1250 degrees. And these are all rough estimates of degrees because every kiln fires slightly different. I have kilns that tack, actually they full fuse at 1440. I have another one that full fuses at 1480, and another one at 1550. So a lot of it depends on the kiln. So in between, you don't have to necessarily full fuse something. You could actually tack fuse it. So the glass actually starts sticking together. Get this out of the way. So this is a tack fuse. You can see it has a lot more texture on it. The glass actually starts sticking together at about 1350. So you have between 1350 degrees and 1500 degrees to play with. So this is a tack. It's also called a fire polish. So if you have any edges that are cut ahead of time and look cloudy, it will shine up the edges. Okay, so that's about 1350. This is about 1400. So the hotter you go, you can see your pieces start to soften and to melt into the glass. So when you're doing a tack fuse, or this is called a contour fuse when you go beyond tack, you don't have to have 2 full layers. You can see that this is 1 layer of white, and then there's not really a full second layer. There's decorations are all on the 3rd layer. Okay, so let's go over some more materials here. I'll move this out of the way too. And let's talk a little about the glass. So again, we're using System 96 glass. It has a COE of 96. The 2 big glasses that are known, that are used, the 2 big COEs are System 90 and System 96. 90 is made by Bullseye. System 96 right now is made by OGT, which is Oceanside Glass and Tile. It used to be Spectrum and Ouroboros. So you may see older glass with Spectrum or Ouroboros labels on it, and the new stuff has the OGT writing on them. So the other thing you have to worry about is you cannot use stained glass for fused glass, but you can use fused glass for stained glass. So you don't want to mix up your glasses. You can't use 90 and 96 together. You have to use all 96 or all 90. So here you're looking at glass. This is called opal glass, or opaque, so it's not see-through. And this is a cathedral glass, so when you buy the glass, this will have like a blue opal name on it. This will just be blue. So if it's cathedral, it won't say opal on it. This is kind of important as you stack glass, because if you stack 2 cathedrals together, you might get brown because they're going to blend together. Or if I put opal on top of a cathedral, you will see the opal. It won't blend in. It keeps its shape. Okay. So the other thing we have here is we have iridized glass. So it takes this same color and it puts an iridized metallic coating on it. This gives it a pinky purple, sometimes peach hue to it. Okay. This is actually food safe. So this iridized glass will turn into something like this when you slump it. So as it slumps, that metallic surface stretches and it breaks apart, and you get little bits like that. The other thing you can have too is you can have, this is system 96, this is system 90, so this is bullseye glass. You can have iridized textures. So this is black iridized, but then you've got these other textures, these granites and these dots and these lines. So you can also get textured iridizes. Okay, so other kinds of glasses, you can get glasses with 2 or 3 colors in them. You can get, this is called spirit glass. It's got spots in it. Some more spirit. You've got opal art glasses. So these have swirls. They're usually opalescent. It's solid on the back. Okay, this is one of my favorites. It's blackberry cream. Okay. So the other thing I've got here is we've got, different people call this different things. Mardi Gras glass, confetti glass, party glass. These are actually streamer bits. This one's streamer bits. This is fracture and streamers. So the lumps are fractures, the line are streamers. And we have frit and streamers. So the little pieces are frit, the lines are streamers or stringers. Okay. So when you do a project in my class, I usually have you look around and see what kind of mold you want to use. And I usually have bases made out for them. So here's like a clear 8x8, a black 8x8, a white 7x7. So in the previous video I talked about the different sizes. So usually you want to pick a base. If you want it to be see-through, you pick out a clear. If you don't want it to be see-through, you pick out a white or black. And of course, in general, clear is cheaper than the white and the black. Okay. Then you can start decorating your piece, your project. So you cut your first 2 layers, and then you start decorating it. In this case, we have some frit. So frit is glass, and it comes in different sizes. So if you can see this, I'll bring these all over here. So these are all blue shades. This says dark blue powder. You can see it's a powder. Okay. So that you can sift onto the glass. It's pretty commonly used for stenciling. You can do something like that. That's from a flower stencil. You can layer different colors. You can put it in background. If we go back to this project, the powder is way back in the background here. This is medium frit, fine frit. So if you look, it goes to fine, it's a little heavier. It goes to medium, it's a little heavier. We go to coarse, it's a little heavier. And we go to mosaic, which is even bigger chunks. And again, the thing you have to be careful is if it says opal or if it doesn't say opal on it, because dark blue powder is very see-through. If you put it on red, you're not going to get blue. Okay. The other thing about the powders is that you want to make sure you wear at least an N95 mask or an NiOSH mask when using it, because that powder is light enough to get in the air and is bad for your lungs. Okay. So some project examples with these frits are the common thing that's most popular in my classes are the ornaments. So you can see this is a blue mix frit, so I mixed 3 different colors together. The Christmas tree dishes, again, this I make a Christmas tree mix of red, green, and white. Okay, so the other things on here are, you saw, this is a really good example. You saw here, I talked about the noodles and stringers. So noodles look like fettuccine. Stringers look like spaghetti. So here's let's say a black and green noodle. Here's some other color stringers, but here I just used a bunch of my scraps to put that in there. You can also bend the stringers in a candle, and you can, which is more like this dish. You can bend the stringers in a candle. You can't really bend the noodles in a candle. You can also bend and stretch your stringers with a blowtorch. So this actually makes more like, they call them crazy stringers. Okay. So the other thing in this plate are dots. Okay, so you can see here if it's a contour fuse, the dots really stick up. This is a full fuse, they spread out and make these round circles. So the dots actually come in rods. So you have these rods. I'm going to put on some safety glasses, and I take my mosaic cutters, and I make the dots like that. I just break off little pieces of dots into cylinders, and those melt into the glass. So I have a bunch of different dots to play with during class. And then bigger than dots are pebbles. So these are bigger circles, and that's what you'll see in that first plate. You can see this pebble really spread and turned into this big circle. Okay. The other thing you see a lot on my projects are these squares. Well, I pre-cut squares a lot for my students. So usually you'll come in and I'll have two size squares. You can stack them, but usually there's I'll have an opal bin, and then I'll have a cathedral bin, and then I have bigger ones. I have holiday ones. So you can also cut your own squares with a straight edge cutter. Okay. So again, you go back to this plate. Here's a square. Here's two squares stacked. So a bigger square with a smaller square. Again, here we have a dot on top of this square. And if you look at what happens when they're full fused, you can see all of it just spreads more. So here are the two size squares that were this size, but when you add them on top of two layers, the third layer will spread more. Okay, so there are some options. Let's see, what else do we have over here? We have confetti. These are little shards of glass. I usually like to mix red and green for the holidays. You can actually break them up, things like that. You can put those on in little pieces. So if you look at this Christmas tree dish, here's my red and green confetti. And then here's red medium-sized frit around the edge. Okay, and I'll show you later how to glue those together in the next video. So right now, we're in the year 2020. System 96 is not making any confetti right now, but you can, if you're working with System 90, they still do make confetti, and I have some for in-class use. The other big popular thing is dichroic glass. So this is this fancy shiny glass here. Let me get a bunch of it. This is very expensive. It's probably at least 10 times the cost of regular glass. So when you think this is around $1.50 to $2.50 a square inch is how much it is. So it's usually used in small amounts, and it's used in jewelry. So, and you can see you've got some patterns, you've got texture, and so if you look here, this is just the pattern dichroic. This is pattern dichroic encased in clear, so it's got clear glass on the top. Here is, if you look here, the dichroic is actually black or clear glass on the back. So this is black on the back and the metallic surface is on the front. This is dichroic on clear. So one side is clear glass. So when you look at the color, there's a reflective and a refractive color. So reflective, the light bounces off and it'll be orange. And if you turn it and you see through it, the other color can be blue. So usually it has two colors. If the dichroic is on black, you're only seeing the reflective color. Okay. So on this one, I had blue glass underneath, and I actually had the dichroic snowflake on clear on top. And so you could see through to the blue. Okay. So those are the kinds of things you could do. Here's a texture dichroic. Okay. Dichroic also comes in all kinds of stuff and shapes. So you can get cats, you can get lizards, you can get spirals, you can get all kinds of things. The only problem with dichroic, it is not food safe. So you generally don't want to use this on dishes that you'll be eating out of, unless you take the dichroic on clear and flip it over, and that means the top is clear and you're not getting access to the heavy metals of the dichroic. Okay. They also make dichroic fire sticks. So these are great for holiday ornaments and tree dishes. So those are some fun things. Again, not cheap. We also make cane, C-A-N-E. Okay, so that you can find different ones of those. And again, just like your rod, you can break those up with mosaics and use flat pieces of those. But you can also use the cane as one piece. So you can see something like this was used in the glass as the second layer. Okay, so what else have I got over here? There's just all kinds of stuff. There's glass paints. So if you see here, this little spiral, orange spiral, I did with a glass paint. This green square spiral, I did with glass paint. Okay, so there's you can use lots of paints. If you look at this one, these are just little stringers broken up. These are little noodles broken up. Again, this is the frit mix. So lots of things you can do to decorate your top surface. The other thing we have are decals. Okay, so these are dichroic decals. These are just pattern decals, and that you just soak them in. The white ones you soak in water. The dichroic ones you soak in distilled water to get the backing off. And then as you see, let's see, even in this one you can see that here is decal. Okay, and around it, it's hard to see in this video, but they do make also gold metallic paint pens will fire in. So that's another thing you can use. Okay, so I think that's most of what I've got here. And again, if you go online, there's just really gobs of things you can do and put into your projects. So the next step is to watch the next video on actually building the project and how to clean your glass and how to glue everything together. So we'll see you in the next video.